Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. I hope you all have an amazing day. We're starting off, we have the black pieces against a 1762 from North Macedonia. That's a pretty cool flag. We'll go ahead with e5 against the e4. We have knight f3. Knight f3. Let's just play our usual stuff. I'm not feeling anything fancy. We get a Roy Lopez or the Italian if you want to be that way, I guess. And we play knight f6 here. I start playing knight f6 rather than d6. I feel like it's a bit better. And they have gambited a pawn. I'm not taking that. I don't want to take that. It looks scary. Now we play d6. I say it, I now play this. I don't know anything past the knight f6 bit. So let's go ahead and play d6. And apparently this is called the improved Steinitz defense. So if it's improved, it's got to be better than Steinitz's original defense. I'm not quite sure what that is. But yeah, we're doing it. So, I mean, the whole idea of knight f6 is that they take... they take here. You take outwards. And after this, you have queen d4. And you're hitting the knight and the pawn. So you get the pawn back. They've played d4, which is fine by us. Fine by us. Do we just go ahead and take this? They have some e5 options. Let's take it. Why not? I don't see why we can't take it. I don't think there's any immediate threats. I mean, there is some threats on the knight, but bishop d7 if we really have to. And we're all chilling. This is a pretty standard position. They have the e5 push, I think. But we're not particularly worried about that. So I think bishop d7 just holds a lot of things. They're going to try get their queen in. Potentially. Obviously not right now. They might want to do like a bishop g5 or something. Or maybe even a queen f3. And we can just go ahead and kick this bishop, I'm pretty sure. We want to get castled as soon as possible. And just see what happens, really. I mean, it's a weird position, is the Spanish. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't want to start playing e5, is because you can run into the Spanish. It's just weird. It feels cramped. I know you're probably not meant to play d6 and probably expand on the queen side. I don't know how to do that. I don't know the rules. Not rules. I don't know the moves behind it. So I'm just going to ignore it because it looks like the sort of thing where, yeah, the top players play it with ease, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get crushed, you know. So I'm just going to ignore that and try my best. E5 is still a thing, but we castle and we're surely fine. Yeah, so I'm happy. We can still kick this bishop around whenever we need to. I'm not particularly worried about it. I don't honestly know the plans of the Spanish. I know literally nothing about it. So every time I play it, please just know that I'm making it up on the spot. I have no idea at all. I think f4 looks tempting here as white. It's something I would definitely play. But I guess then you've got potential of trading off the bishops, but then e5's coming and there's stuff, you know. There is stuff. There is stuff for white. I guess that's why people play it. If there wasn't stuff for white, people wouldn't play it. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed yesterday's video. I know it was a bit different. It was a bit less lectury, you know, and a bit more... It was a bit like me just playing a normal game, but in drills, you know. So I hope you all sort of enjoyed that and learned something as well. I know the drills are a really cool thing to do. So if you have started doing them because of that, please do let me know. You know, it would mean a lot if I've helped you guys out doing anything. So they put the bishop on d3. Obviously now looking for an e5 to hit the h pawn. So how can we stop that? Is la question. Go for a little rerouting of the bishop, potentially. potentially. Yeah, I don't mind that, to be fair. I don't mind it. There is no takes thing because we've got the bishop acting as a little barricade between the knight and the queen. So I'm not. There's no tactics or anything. I'm pretty sure. F3 is fine by us. If anything, it's slowing their attack down a bit because they have no queen coming in anywhere if they play A3. F3. Sorry, I don't know my letters and numbers, guys. I thought I would be able to do this, but apparently not. And then our plan is to just basically go down and then just directly oppose this bishop. You know, it's not doing much on these two squares. We always have threats of d5. We possibly could have played d5 straight away, but now I'm liking it even more because we have this d7 square for our knight. So they've gone ahead and put their queen on d4. I'm not really sure what that's doing, to be honest. Like, at all. No clue. Can we not take this pawn? Can we not take the pawn? Bishop takes, queen takes, bishop takes, knight takes. What's that? We get bishop takes, knight back. Okay, the knight's getting trapped, so it would be 2 pieces for a rook, which isn't ideal. We get a pawn out of it. We lose the c pawn, though, and potentially even the d pawn. I don't particularly think that's worth it at the minute. However, if we moved our queen, maybe it would be a bit better. Then again, where are we moving our queen to? Because we said we wanted this d7 square potentially for the knight. So, would we really want to go queen d7? And queen c8 looks like it's not particularly doing anything. If anything, it's blocking off the bishop. And it's weakening the d5 push. So, I'm not particularly happy about that. I do really want to do it, though. Maybe h6 is just the answer. h6, bishop takes, rook takes, yeah. Or we just continue with our plan, is another option. Or we could work out and hit this pawn. I'm not a particularly big fan of that. It seems like it's on the wrong side of the board right now. Or just castle. Or just castle is the other option. While we still can, I guess. Maybe a queen d6. No, because queen d6, they can just take this bishop and we're not threatening anything. So this tactic's never actually working. I need to get that out of my head. So it's either h6 or castles then. Or bishop h5, I guess. Maybe even just a knight d7 and play like a knight c5, hit the light squared bishop. Yeah, let's go for that. We'll do queen takes e7 after bishop takes. F4 is interesting here. Simply because we are potentially walking into some queen pins. But I don't think that's a massive threat right now. There's nothing forcing us to take or anything. And what do we have here? So we have same coloured bishops. Knights are still on the board. I think I'm a bit further ahead in development simply because I have A, this open file, and B, that the only sort of real pawn breaks happening immediately without them doing some preemptive moves. So that's good. I probably want to castle kingside. Queenside seems a bit unsafe. And their attack is definitely not happening as violently anymore because they no longer have a bishop. So they've got no h6 sacks or anything. Their pawns are going to take a while. I can sit my bishop down on g6 or even bring it back to e6 if I have to. So it's quite flexible here. Their knight's not really in the game, to be honest. Like, even if it comes here, it can't go to either of these two squares. If I could draw an arrow, it can't go to either of these two squares. I can't draw an arrow. And it could come here. It could come there. But then their bishop's looking a bit not healthy. You get me? Where is the bishop actually going, in fact? There, I guess. Doesn't look particularly nice for them. I'd love to get my knight on c4, if possible. And hit this queen about, hit this pawn, get the rook on b8. Oh, I'm clicking right click a lot. Anyway, you get the gist of it, you know? You get the gist. I think I'm doing okay here. If I was to evaluate it, about even, slightly better for white, like a 0.4 potentially, 0.4. Simply because they are the ones causing an attack. Like, if we defend this attack, we're good. But they are the ones with the attack, so we just have to be a bit careful for that. Now is it time for a knight e5? So they're obviously looking for e5, and if they go e5, I think I might just play d5. I've got to be careful not to lock my pawns on white squares too much. Do have to be careful of that. But again, like, it's still flexible, you know. The double pawns in this little triangle shape, they are quite flexible, and they do have a lot of pawn breaks they can do to get them on other coloured squares. So I'm not particularly worried about that. I would love to trade off the knight for the bishop. I would very much like to trade off the knight for the bishop. The problem is bishop e2, knight takes, queen takes, bishop takes, queen takes. We probably just get the rooks on the open files and play like that. I think that's the only way really to play it, other than like a knight c5. But after the bishop's trade off, he's not actually doing much there. It can't go to there. It's never actually hitting this pawn. It can get kicked super quickly with b4. So it's not particularly doing anything. I would prefer it probably on e5, but then again, f4 is coming as well. At least then we can do knight c4. But then again, knight c4, you take this pawn, again, you're getting kicked super quickly, you know. You would have to push a d5 in order to lock up this c4 square. At which point, I'm not quite sure. We would need to move the queen off this file. We would need to take, have all the pressure on the e file, and it's looking a bit shaky, you know. That being said, I don't have any other plans other than an early knight rook b8. But then again, we completely lose out on the e file. So, you know, it's either now or never. Never. Let's go for it. Let's go for it, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Really, I have no clue. But we're going for it. It looks active. And you know me, activity is key. So why not? You know, why not? Indeed. I think we will have a look at some theory today, simply because I don't know what I'm doing at all. So it would be good to have a look at that. And I might spend some time actually looking at the Ruy Lopez if I want to play e5 competitively. It's probably a good idea, right, to know one of the most common openings in the game. Yeah, it'd be a bit stinky if I didn't, but we will give it a go. I wonder if queen g5 is an idea at all. You are obviously walking into the f4, but yeah, so it's probably not an idea. Maybe g4, h4, sorry, but then you've got no bishop pin, so it's not really working out for you. I don't think we've got any chances of an attack going. We just got to play with the pawns really, which is fine. It's not my strongest skill. Is subtle pawn maneuvers, but there are some glaring weaknesses in White's position. So, whoa! I think that's the second time we've seen a bishop f1, and it's dubious every time I see it. It's horrible. It doesn't look right at all. It does not look right at all. I don't get why. Okay, now I'm looking at a bishop e6 and get the knight there and almost forcing off the bishop for the knight, which would be amazing. F4, knight out, bishop takes, e4, d5, b3, bishop a6, and we can reroute the bishop this way. Yes. I guess. I guess. B3, maybe we do this a5, a4. Or we just get the rooks out. The queen on a better square. The knight can come to g6 if f4 happens. F4, knight out. What happens if they just don't take, though? Well, you'll lose this pawn for starters. Say they do a queen e2. You take, rook comes out. Then where's your knight going? That's the problem. What, to b7? Rook b7. Is your knight getting trapped at all? Is your knight getting trapped? I don't even know. I don't even know. Bishop f1 can't be right, though. There's no way. We got the rook out. They go for that. And they've instantly killed our c4's idea. So we're not going with that, which is fine by us. I don't think it was a particularly good idea anyway. It was more like do it while we have it rather than actually thinking it through. I need to play d5 at some point, so I need to free up my queen from this pin. Let's go rook fe1. Just so we have some more control over this file. F4, the knight can come back either way. It's probably better going to G. Oh no, in fact the bishop's getting trapped. So it would have to come to D. At which point the bishop's still getting trapped. No. No, it's not, because we can go there. No. There. No. There. Wait, there. Bishop can just come all the way back. I'm not sure what I'm on about. To be honest, I'm not sure what I'm on about. Yeah. I would say it's been a long day, but it's not. So I've got no excuse. But whatever. We'll keep moving. And those two rook moves, I will be honest, I sort of made without wanting to make them. I just sort of let go of the mouse accidentally. Not accidentally, it was definitely on purpose. But yeah, I probably should have thought it through a bit more. But I saw the clock ticking down to 6 minutes. And I was like, I don't know if 6 minutes is quite enough time just yet. I don't think we have any solid idea of what we're doing. If we had a plan, then maybe. But we really do need to start speeding up, because it's yeah, it's not looking too good. Not looking too good, I will say. There is also potential for a backwards pawn here if they ever go f5, f4, f5. Hitting this backwards pawn with the extra pawn break could be quite nice. Yeah, and they've gone for this. Now, it's very tempting to go back, but that's how you get your bishop trapped. F4 comes with a tempo, and then they play f5. So we actually have to go d7 or c8. Those are our two options. d7 gets rid of the knight square, so it forces us to go to g6. Whether that's a bad thing or not, I'm still undecided. And c8, I'm not sure what that is actually doing, to be honest. I'm not sure at all. It's not doing that. There's no... You would have to spend another move going to b7. At least on d7, it is covering the rook as well, if we ever do trade off. So let's go to d7. Then f4, we go into g6, trying to get them to play f5 so we can sit comfortably back on e5. I think. And now potentially we want some rook lifts. That would be quite tempting. Quite tasty, I would say. This queen's quite well placed, actually. When did he move his queen there? Pretty early on. Quite well placed, I will say. It's causing a lot of problems for me. So, well done. I guess, well done. And we're a bit tight here. I will say we're a bit tight. Which is not, like, the end of the world. You know, it's not the end of the world. There have been worse things. We have had worse positions. I was playing a game with my coach watching last night. I had a training session and he wanted to see me play. I played a game. I got in a terrible position. Somehow managed to win it. So it just goes to show anything can happen. Especially if you've been doing your drills. You know, if you do the drills, you get... they've played f5. Now this is looking... tasty. We hop that knight straight back onto e5, and we just sit tight. We bide our time. This pawn's covering the d square. We've got an easy target. We can play c5 and get the bishop there if we ever need to. It sort of plays itself. You know, I say that a lot, but like backwards pawns are my favorite type of like hook, you know, like if you need something to make a plan, you know, backwards pawns are just my favorite. Like, yeah, it's just the way my brain works. Like, it's just an easy target for me. We need to get our queen in the game now. We need to play very, very actively. I think queen h4 is the way to go. Queen h4 looks particularly proddy pokey, you know. Looks like it's causing some issues. So where are their pieces going? This bishop, God knows where this bishop's going. Probably d3 and make it a big pawn, you know, a tall pawn. This knight probably wants to hop round to g3. Maybe support the rook. So they're potentially looking for their own attack, but the queen on h4 is quite well placed here. I'm pretty sure it's covering a lot of things. Other than that, they want their rooks doubled. They might want to start poking with c4, c5, trying to weaken this pawn specifically. But I think after a swift c5, we're probably fine. Probably is the key word there. I'm not quite sure. Again, there's a lot of games still to play. And I think I would happily trade off queens here. Happily trade off queens. We've got a real target. I think the queens are causing more pain than anything. We just have to watch out for c5. I think an f6 is probably worth it. Probably worth it. We're going to let the rooks take. This bishop's going to come onto c6 and hit this pawn again. We're probably going to want to break and get our king up if we can possibly. We would need more pieces traded off. And the good thing about having our knight on a dark square is that so every time there's a backwards pawn, there's usually like an opposite to it, which would be this square for them. This is on a light square, which is super good for us. Super good for us. We can just trade it off and be up a pawn. So we are happy with that. We're going to double up our rooks. Sorry, if I could speak. We've got a potential fork there. And yeah, we're chilling. We are chilling. We've got the idea of sacking the bishop for the f pawn. That's quite common in backwards pawn structures. We could get the knight onto f5 even. That's an idea. It's just nice. Like, there's nothing else to say. It's just nice. C4, we immediately play c5. Their bishop's dead in the water. You know, it's what we would call a 2-result game. I'm pretty sure at this point. You know, there is very little play for white here. They're stuck defending this e-pawn. Yeah, so they go e4, which I think is probably their best shot at getting some form of counterplay. And I think here we go knight f7. It's creating an immediate attack on the e-pawn. And we're looking to hit this or potentially even jump into g5 as well. So I think that's our best shot probably. They could push. Probably a good shout for them actually. We'd probably just take with the rooks, take with the knight even if we have to. And if they go h5, h4 here, we're hopping on h6 instead, and now we're hitting this and this as well. This especially with the fork on the king and the rook. So this is just super nice. And you see how they just got greedy. They got greedy and they played f5, hoping to claim some more space, thinking it's going to limit me. But actually, they wanted their pawn on f4 because it's so much more controlling. And it's just nice. Again, it's like I can't stress it enough. It's just nice, just nice. Here, I think knight g5, bishop d3, and we don't have a d5 just yet, which is fine. We just need to think of something a bit more cleverer to play. Maybe a h5 could work. h5 could be quite nice. I am a bit worried about this though, because I would very much like to keep the knight on the board at this point. Very much like to keep the knight on the board. Because I don't want to play d5. Never want to play d5 because then, especially with the bishop there, or if they have played d4, they have options to open things up, and it's not as nice then. I think h5 could be the way to go here. We're threatening to take and then hop onto e4, sorry, and just hit this weakened pawn. And if they push, we can just take with the knight. So I think, oh, actually no, I said king f8, I think is the way to go. King f8. I think that's a bit of a subtle move, but I think it will run in our favor. Favor, if I could speak. So what's h5 doing if they do that? Then we're threatening to go h6 and take this pawn. At which point we're just winning a pawn at least, maybe even 2 pawns. So I think, slow down Jacob, we're going king f8. King f8 is the key. Stopping any bishop pins. We can go back there if we absolutely have to. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. This is a nice trick for them. And if they still do that now, I think knight back to e5 is the way to go. And we reroute it this way instead, potentially. I think they would be very happy trading off the bishop for the knight. I think Then again, they have one less defender of their pawns, but our key pieces are knight here, I think. So they would be quite happy trading that off. If they don't do that, actually h5 knight can take it, which is really annoying. So maybe just knight back. We're hitting the bishop, and doubling their pawns here could be quite good for us, actually. We can stick on c5 and then pretty safely get our bishop out, I think. Then again, it's just we lose control of the e6 square. It's a thing. It's a thing for sure. Thing is, they might run out of waiting moves. That's what I would like. At least I would like them to run out of waiting moves. They go bishop there. That's a cool move. We could potentially think about sacking the exchange here. So what's cool about this is they do get the knight on there. They do get the knight on there. And I'm sort of forced to do it. Unless I do the exchange, we're sort of forced to do it. Now, the exchange might not be a bad thing. But yeah, that's a bit of a stinker, really. Oh, I miscalculated that. Okay. You know, I think we just have to do it. I think we've got to do it and get the knight here and trade off that way. Or I don't want to trade off this way. Play h6 and get the knight there. Do that. I think we've got to do it no matter what, really. Unless we do like a g5 could be interesting. G5, bishop takes, rook takes, and we look for pushes this way. Let's go for that. G takes, takes, takes. Rook takes is fine. Yeah, g5. So if they take en passant, they're losing their defender of the bishop. And if they try care about this knight, then the knight's not defending the bishop anymore. So they have to do bishop takes here, I'm pretty sure. The other thing we can do is knight takes, actually. And try go like knight c6, c5, sorry. Or potentially move up and go knight f8. That's probably the safer option, actually. Probably the safer option. Now, what are they going to do here? I think they have to take the bishop. If they don't take the bishop, they're probably just dead lost. Now, it's still interesting, you know, if they take en passant, it is still interesting because they have that pass pawn. But we do just get there in time. And maybe they could have some pressure on the f-file. But again, I think we're just on time. You know, it's tricky. Very, very tricky. But this is a good maneuver. I completely Completely miscalculated. I think knight d8 is the way to go. But then you're lacking in your counterplay, you know, and you probably just have to settle for a draw, which is annoying. So they have 3 minutes. We have a minute. So we're okay on time. Not ideal, but we're still playable, definitely. Still definitely playable. And there are a lot of ways they can mess this up. I still think we're the ones pushing for a win. But it's significantly slowed down since then. Significantly slowed down. And this is something I think maybe I overlook. I think I overestimate weaknesses like this sometimes. And it is a target, don't get me wrong. It's definitely a target and it's something you should be looking for. But it's not a win condition necessarily. I think there needs to be more than one weakness. And I probably overestimated the significance of this game. I think I've done it before. But we will try our best and we will poke and prod. That's what we do here. That's what we do best. That's our number one skill. Just asking questions, seeing what their response is and hoping they make mistakes, really. That's all we can ask for. That is all we can ask for. They're taking their time with this, you know. I think they're considering en passant. They're considering it. That would be very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. They've used half their time. They've not gone for it. Wow. Now we can take this bishop or we can take the knight. If we take the knight, they take. And we're both hitting rooks, which is the problem. Takes, bishop takes, rook takes, pawn takes. And the backwards pawn's less backwards. It's still a bit backwards. If we take the bishop, knight takes, bishop takes. That's good for us. Yeah. We got to take the bishop. Then we can take this pawn. We could even... Yeah, I think we've got to take the pawn. They take this, but then we take this with the bishop. No. We take it with the rook. Wow, they don't go for that. Well, we just sit easy now, surely. Okay, so we're up a pawn here, just straight up a pawn. Which is great. We've converted our positional advantage into material one. We want to keep the pressure on this. And we want to get the king up into the game now. Okay, that's interesting actually. That's a good move. Let's move up. Yeah, and we play d5 is a great move. I really like d5. It's winners at least a pawn. Maybe even two. That's quite cool. d5. I didn't see that straight away. Really like it. Really, really like it. And then we can play c6 as well, just to lock this up. And all we have to do is just anchor this a-pawn. That's all we have to do. d4 is the threat. Hitting this, hitting this, hitting this, hitting this. Hitting the rook, I guess you could add as well if you want to be pedantic. But yeah, I think we're chilling. We're chilling. This is great stuff. And they just overcomplicated. I think they just take it and they play for a draw. I think they take the bishop. You know, that's their worst piece. I think they were too caught up on the outpost. And g5 scared them. That's all I can say. Now they're the ones on time. They got, let's say, 35 seconds left versus our minute and 6. So we are up on the clock, and we can play this out. for a while still. So there's still lots of game left in this. We're even on pawns. And yeah, potentially we are getting one back. Now, we could take this. But I don't like our chances, so we're going to push. And threaten this. And we're threatening this. We could go back and threaten this again, I guess. We can threaten this. So maybe rook there is cool. We could go rook d7 and just hold this again. And we're back to being up a pawn. We've got check coming, winning this potentially. Let's keep both rooks on the board, actually. It's probably the smart thing to do. And like I said, anchoring this a-pawn. Yeah. Let's keep pushing. Why not? We keep pushing. There's nothing stopping us pushing the pawn. And we've got potentially 2 rooks to support it as well. Whoa, I don't like that for them. Not one bit. We move the rook up. We move the rook up so we can keep pushing it. We don't want the rook to be in the way of the pawn. And I think we might have to do like a rook d7 just to stop the king getting across. And it's a bit slow, but I think it's a necessary move. And the reason I didn't like a3 is because it killed their counterplay. They potentially wanted the rook to be on this square. So we're going to actually get behind the pawn while we can now. What they wanted was us to push and they get behind it. And then they are winning the pawn. The king's going to come up now. And I think actually we can just push the pawn again. Our threat is to go rook h1, promote the pawn. And it's just completely winning. All it takes, one pawn. It's crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. And it's just from one little slip up as well. That's how brutal rook and pawn endgames can actually be, you know. Like, just one slip up and it's just completely gone. One slip up. So, what's their threat? They're going rook b7. Their queen seems fine. Seems fine. There's no tricks because the queen would take there if they decide to take. And we can hide away on g6 as well if we need to. Resigns. Well, what a game. Well played. That was good. Real good stuff. Let's get destroyed by the computer right now. Real quickly, then we'll look at some theory. 85.7 versus 77.1. 2150 versus 1800. Apparently 100% accuracy in the opening. Middle game is 91.6. End game is 71.4. Wow, that's harsh computer. So d6 takes. There we go. Bishop d7, and then that's the opening. Apparently, the Ruy Lopez improved Steinitz, I think, or something. I'm not sure. Completely right with bishop e7. Take with the pawn is okay. Apparently, you want to take with the bishop, and you just play without the bishops. I guess trading off the bishop pair when possible is probably a good idea. We went wrong with bishop g4. It wanted rook to b8. Just hitting this pawn straight away and getting a bit active. And then rook d7 was not the right thing to do at all. There is no, I'll rock you through this, there's no knight takes e4. Because bishop takes e7, knight takes queen, bishop takes queen, takes rook, and then bishop takes c7. And the knight is actually trapped. It's trapped by this knight and this pawn and this pawn and this. So if you could get rid of this, if you could escape here, then fine. But you can't. And then they're threatening this pawn as well. So it's just not a good sequence. They take. We take back with the queen. Perfect. Castles, fine. Knight up's okay. Again, I'm not sure why they didn't play a f4. I thought bishop e2 here was okay. That's what I would have played. Which is good. Not quite as good, but still good. It's wanting f4. And then g5 is something we can do, which is absolutely wild. And here, this rook move brought us down to 1.1 from 0.4. So that's a big mistake, actually. I'm guessing just f5, which, again, they didn't play. But g5's wild. It looks super, super sketchy. Super, super sketchy. Because, like, even it takes, like, queen takes, and you've just opened yourself up. I wonder what it's not showing us any further moves, so it must be completely dodgy. The rook over is not good either, just because of f4. We dropped the bishop back. Apparently c8 is a better move, and then they got greedy again with this f5 move, which we said. Queen h4. Apparently queen g5 is better, and I see now the pin on the queen and the rook is probably the idea. Trade off queens is fine. G6 apparently is the move, and I guess that just stops them locking up the position a bit and sort of gets rid of this outpost, which causes some trouble. We double ups, okay. Again, it wanted us to claim space, which is probably the smart thing to do. I mean, it is the smart thing to do. It's a blooming computer after all. And then here, G5 again. And that's the best move. Wow. Really, that's the best move. What about takes? G takes F4. Oh, because you... Wait, what? G takes F4. Bishop takes. Oh, and you take with check, so you get the bishop at the end of it. Gosh, damn. Anyway, it's fine. We took their bishop, and then took with the rook rather than the pawn. 1.7 here, and this goes to 1.8. Apparently that's a miss, and it's a one move miss. So I guess the idea is to go to d7 and support these. I don't get what the difference is. It's not showing us again. I'm not sure why. I guess if you're on d7, then you're not having to play c5 and weaken these pawns. We move the rook up, which is a mistake. Then we managed to play d5, which is great. And apparently we just take this this pawn with the rook rather than do this whole maneuver, which is crazy to me. I guess it's just confident in the king and pawn endgame, which I definitely was not. I mean, this does not look good for black at all. You know, yeah, you're up a pawn, but, well, you're not even up a pawn. I guess you can class this as a dead pawn, but still, the activity of this king is just... I guess the king's got no squares. It's a one square in, so you don't even have to worry about opposition because you're always going to be kicking it out. And then when you go there, I guess you push this pawn and use your majority, which makes a bit of sense. We did the right things here. We missed our chance there, apparently. We go rook c4. Why is that losing? Drawing all of a sudden. Rook c1. It's not showing me the things. I want to see that. I really want to see that. Why is that king e2? What about that? e5. Oh, do they get counterplay with e5? Is that the idea? Okay, maybe. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Yeah, they missed some opportunities here. I didn't like a3. Again, the rook wants to be on a3 and make some counterplay against the a-pawn. And then this is just promoting, really. It wants us to promote with takes, but why give up a rook? You know, why give up a rook when you don't have to? Anyway, let's have a quick look at some theory, because I'm just a bit curious. Not too much. About this, yeah, here we go. So, what we have? Fallujah, no, we want to win for black. Lots of draws here. And you see why the Berlin is known for its draws, which is crazy. There's not even a win for black in the first list. And it shows you how much theory these people have, you know. So this is Report versus Vidit. Castles. Knight takes, apparently, you can just go for. They play d4 to open things up. Knight d6 hits the bishop. They trade off. Trade off queens, I guess. And this is a position, that this is potentially weak, but could be supported lots of ways. This pawn structure is not as weak as it looks. Your bishops are quite free, so but then you've got no castling. So they trade off the dark squared bishops, which seems not nice. Expand on the king side, trade off rooks, and then you've just got there's nothing in this. It must have just been a mistake, really. There is not much in this at all. I don't see why they can't take this. I guess you're trapped, which probably makes sense. The knights get kicked about a bit, and I think that's just what does it. So apparently you can just take this pawn, hit the bishop, and trade everything off. That's quite nice, though, actually, because I quite like it when the queens come off early. It gives more time to maneuver the pieces about, and goes into an endgame a bit quicker, which I am a big fan of. Anyway, that was a good game. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.